On Monday, October 6th, 8:47 p.m. Pacific, we will have the full moon in Aries. It will be exact at that time. As I'm making this video, we're moving towards that area, right? Aries, sign of the will, fire sign that acts on impulse and action, is ruled in general by the planet Mars. And we look to the planet Mars, and wherever it is in the sky currently, in the western zodiacal sky, it's in the sign of Scorpio, where it functions well, where it performs well, where it's focused well and driven, and almost in a sense obsessed to accomplish its mission on whatever it's focused on. But a lot of times this driven part and this passionate part of Mars and Scorpio is hidden, and it can brew up, and it can be very stubborn at times, but regardless is focus. That type of energy is pretty much fueling the full moon in Aries here that's coming up on Monday, Tuesday for other parts of the world. There's another planet, though, that's involved in all this, and it's very important because it's that day, too, earlier in the day, that Mercury leaves the sign of Libra, which is a Venus-ruled sign, right? Venus ruled, and enters in Scorpio just in time for the exactness of the full moon. So at the moment of the full moon, we have Mercury in Scorpio along with Mars in Scorpio pretty much as the fuel for the Aries full moon situation. And not only that, Mercury in Scorpio is having a very challenging relational aspect with Pluto and Aquarius for this one. So there's power plays involved, obsession, ultimatums. And do those power plays, obsession, and ultimatum games move through and force the Mercury in Scorpio and Mars in Scorpio into saying something, into performing an action? That subconscious, that deep type of kind of building volcano feeling that it can get to a point with anything in fixed signs. It gets to a pressure release point and wants to pop. It wants to express. It wants to blow up sometimes. We got to be careful of this one on this full moon. And that's the premise of this video is I'm going to suggest to you is if you're feeling that way, you're feeling passionate about something you need to say, how would you say it if you got to the point? And are you ready to say it? And do you have all your facts in a row? Do you have your emotional state somewhat grounded, right, with something like this? And the combination of something like that is if you were to took that and you were to say something, then what would you do? And if you were going to do it in a Mercury in Scorpio and Mars in Scorpio way, do you know how precise that has to be? And how direct and how brutally truthful it can be? Now that I say that, are you ready to do that? Would you want to do this on the full moon in Aries? Remember, full moons expose the shadows. They're already, regardless of where full moons have and what signs, we know what happens. Like something's shown to us, right? Something is props up and comes up, rises up. The shadows are exposed type of thing. So if Mercury in Scorpio, when it's just entering the sign and it's with Mars, it's already going to do a scorpion tail way of pinpointing on something, and it will want to do that. And in a sense, it's the beginning of a journey like this that's going to happen all the way in November with Mercury and Scorpio. This is a journey we're about to do with Mercury. So off the bat, it's going to be challenged by power position, Pluto, the manipulator at times, Pluto, the asking for yes or no or all or nothing Pluto. And we already know Scorpionic energy works in an all or nothing way. So this is some hidden passion, hidden investigation. I wrote here, secret personal insights, investigations, intimate intensity is what one could feel in something like this. And the Aries moon normally doesn't have any filters holding back. My suggestion is to you is if you don't have to say it, don't say it. Wait as the month plays out. But if you do, realize what's at stake and the byproduct and the aftermath of an emotional Aries moon expressing itself with the tail of a scorpion, right? So please be careful on this one. There's other parts of this too that try to help. In the sky at the time, Venus, which is still in Virgo at 21 degrees, is making a healthy relationship with Jupiter in Cancer. Now, for those technically want to understand is Venus planet of relationships, love, and, you know, in the sense of like what we attract, you know, it's in Virgo and it's been very discerning there. And several days before this full moon, as I'm making this video, Venus is together with the South Node in Virgo. And what this means is something is leaving, and the South Node is a purging place, a recycling place, a letting go. And then Venus is there with it. And so Virgo wants to piece out something, break something into pieces. And while it breaks something into pieces, relational stuff, money stuff, it figures out what is not needed or what is not functioning anymore, and will want to purge and dispose of it. Or we those who don't know how to do this, and it'll become an issue. And it has been, because a lot of Virgo energy and Pisces stuff has had to do with this, with the eclipses in the last month. So it definitely is part of this passionate Aries full moon. But at the same time, while Venus is going through this recycling and letting go process in Virgo, it's getting some help from Jupiter and Cancer. And this is a more of a comfort, nurturing, how we nurture, how we like to be nurtured, where we come from, family thing. Now, I'm just going on what's on paper. This relationship, by the way, is called a sextile. This is when water and earth are connecting, and it's an opportunistic opening, an opportunistic narrative, and a thread. Why would this matter when it comes to like an Aries full moon and scorpionic stuff running it? The reason I'm bringing this up is we want to look to this Venus-Jupiter connection as in the sense of like honing down or washing away the edges possibly in relational situations. And if you had to say and come across with the Scorpio directness in a fire moon way, it can come across as caustic and challenging. So if you do need to say something, if you catch yourself passionately involved or like a volcano ready to roar, can you stop yourself from doing that? But if you were to do it, can it be like slow lava oozing out of the volcano slowly, where it is still hot and fiery and passionate and direct, but not all at the same time, right? Not like an explosion, right? Not like a direct, we're on the field of war challenge type of stuff. There's enough of that going on in the world, right? Now, again, Venus in Virgo is ruled by the planet Mercury, and Mercury's in Scorpio right now. See the relation? Jupiter in Cancer is ruled by the moon. And where's the moon? It's in Aries. So we cannot discount Venus and Jupiter in the full moon, and I think it's a mini oasis place for you. Just pay attention to the details, right? And watch the blood pressure, basically. There's something else here I want to say besides the relational communicative thing. Is I think here Mercury too, as we know we've been following, is not close to the sun anymore, and it's kind of speeding along in a certain way where it's more visible and more prominent, as in the last month it was still like closer to the sun mathematically degrees wise, so we're not quite seeing it. But in this particular full moon we're seeing it. Not only are we seeing it, it's in Mercury and Scorpio. So this is to accentuate the part of the story here in the narrative about the directness of Mercury and Scorpio and how intense and how harsh it could be. Sometimes, though, we need to hear and say the truth. And Mercury and Scorpio is really good about this, because if it is being investigative and if it is researching and probing to get to the truth, when it is said, it probably needs to be said. I just don't think it needs to be said on Monday. I think we slowly investigate while Mercury's in Scorpio for the whole month of October into November. Well, we'll do a retrograde, and it will be in Sagittarius and go back into Scorpio. So if you're going to say something and the volcano top is going to pop, just know you might have to take back some of your words down the line. Mind you, this isn't necessarily you saying this. It could be other situations outside of you where the energy is that way, where it comes out passionately that way, and it blows its top like that. And is that the end all, say all of it all? I don't think it is. And so I'm taking the more conservative approach on this channel, and I'm telling you to be careful. Now, if you are feeling passionate, you are feeling like the volcano is rumbling and it's intense, we want to channel this. And I suggest that you do it secretively. I suggest that you do it behind the scenes, and you try to like spread out that passionate energy through the whole month of October. Eventually, Mercury, is going to make its mathematical conjunction with Mars. And when we get to like the week of the 20th and 21st, we're going to do a new moon pretty much at the end there in Libra at the last degrees. And it's going to be filled with a lot of water in the chart too. So I think then if we were to disseminate and communicate information and come across in a certain way, the planetary structure in the map is going to be different just within the next couple of weeks. Venus won't be in Virgo anymore. Venus will be in Libra. It'll be wanting to relate through style and tact and thoughtful negotiation. So this is why I'm telling you to be careful. And if you do have to say something, if you do have to pop off, try to find a Mars way of doing it by yourself. I suggest Mars remediations. If you can go work out, you can go swing something and hit something, chop some wood, you can sweat, and you could still stay focused. If you're feeling anger, if you're feeling like there doesn't seem to be any other choice and impulse, you want to be intensely impulsive, can you channel that energy into something else creative? With anything in fixed signs like Mercury and Scorpio, Mars and Scorpio, Pluto and Aquarius, if you can find a project that's somewhat long-term to focus the energy, I think you can balance and remediate things. But it's no surprise though. Whenever we deal with something inherently Aries, like the full moon, it doesn't matter what's behind it. It is about impulse. It is about the now. I must do this now. I'll deal with the consequences and byproduct later. Now, this is a special message I'm going to say to my Aries and Libra people, because for the last almost 2 years now, you had to deal with eclipses in your world. Earlier this year in March, we did one of the final eclipses in Aries, and we did a Venus in Aries and Mercury in Aries retrograde back into Pisces. This is a really good chance right now for you Aries and Libra influenced people to gauge what you've learned the last 2 years. And this month is your chance to be mature about it, to see how you've grown and to apply it, because you will be tested, right? And I think this full moon tests you. And I think even the new moon coming up here in a couple of weeks will do it. And that's a special message for you guys. But I think you have learned. I think in situations like this where have several years of eclipses and transits, you have no choice but to accept circumstances and then to learn from them, right? So that's a special message for me, guys, to wind things up. I talked about this on last week's live stream, what I thought about this full moon. My members, Patreon members, and my YouTube channel members heard my monthly forecast for October. It's for my paid members. You know, I talked about this in a different way, but I want to do another video. I, in particular, don't talk about a lot world politics here, but if you think about what I just said here about the combustibility of things and how Mercury and Pluto are in a clash and we're dealing with obsession and ultimatums and power plays, you could see what's happening and could continue to happen out there, right? So for me, you know, on this channel, you know, I always come back to love and compassion and being creative. And I think even if the astrology is hard for a particular person, can always find some insight at least. And not only insight, but the insight be channeled in to a focused creative action. And if you can get to that space, you're doing great. But if you even just get the insight, you're doing great. If you're wound up and all of a sudden Monday and Tuesday, you're just like, and it's this and it seems like all or nothing. Can you remember to catch yourself and go, wait a second, I got to go walk around the block. And I have to really dial in on what I'm thinking and feeling. And I will get my chance to say it. And when I do say it down the line, Mercury and Scorpio, after some investigation, after some focus, after weighing everything out, along with Mars being there, down the line, when you do say it, when you do create it, when you do express it, you'll be glad that you waited. Some of you, I'm not going to judge you if you have to say what you have to say. Just know that there's always byproduct and consequence, right? And if you're prepared to deal with that kind of stuff and you had to do it and take the actions and do an Aries moon thing and be impulsive and just let it out, Okay, I get it. Just know and be prepared that, you're going to have to deal with the aftermath, right? For better or worse. So those are my thoughts. Thanks for listening. If you're new here, you made it this far. I don't know where I am right now. I'm just under a umbrella and I hear the hummingbirds. That's where I'm at. I appreciate you being here. You can subscribe, you can like, whatever. You can go into the copy and see who I am. And I do readings and I have past live streams and all that type of stuff. You're interested in my October forecast, you can become a member of the channel or a member of the Patreon. You can check out my 3 questions with astrologers videos. Remember, you owe it to you to do what you want to do. It's just how you do it. See you later.